a girl accidentally discovered that the criminal being shown on TV looked exactly like the trafficker who abducted her 20 years ago. Even though 20 years had passed, she could never forget that face, because 20 years ago, this trafficker took advantage of her parents being away from home and tricked her, saying he would take her out to buy food. The little girl, excited by the thought of food, immediately agreed to leave with the trafficker. Just as the trafficker was about to take her away, he was unexpectedly caught by the girl's older sister. But instead of panicking, the trafficker turned vicious and tried to take the sister too. What he didn't expect was that the sister wasn't tempted by food and firmly refused to go to the market with him. The innocent and clueless sister didn't realize what her younger sister's departure would mean. She simply stood there, quietly watching them leave. From that moment on, the two sisters would be separated forever. If the sister had been braver at that moment, perhaps the younger sister could have stayed. Now, seeing the trafficker again, the girl's long-suppressed emotions burst out, and this time, she would stand up bravely to send the trafficker to prison. Just as the trafficker was about to be released without charge, the girl suddenly stepped forward and directly took him to court. This immediately brought new developments to the case. The court decided not only to reopen the trial, but to broadcast it live online for transparency. This news quickly garnered widespread public attention. However, most people had little hope for the case. After all, even adults can't remember things from 20 years ago, let alone a child who was so young at the time. But they underestimated the hatred a trafficked girl has for her trafficker. The trafficker, however, refused to admit his crimes in court, and even had his lawyer continue to argue for his release. The girl was shocked by how brazen he was. The trafficker continued to fabricate lies, claiming he had never intended to sell the child. He said he found the girl alone and helpless, and was only trying to help her find her parents out of kindness. Hearing this, the girl gave a bitter smile. To expose the trafficker's true nature, she revealed that she was one of his victims. 20 years ago, the trafficker abducted her and took her to the countryside, but the trafficker adamantly denied knowing her. He even accused the girl of being paid by someone else to falsely accuse him. He argued that a child so young couldn't possibly remember events from 20 years ago. Even the judge began to question the credibility of the girl's statements and repeatedly asked her for confirmation. But the girl said she would recognize the trafficker's face, even if it turned to ash. She recounted how, during the abduction, the trafficker repeatedly abused her and even threatened to throw her into a river if she disobeyed. The trafficker continued to deny everything, but the girl said she also remembered what the trafficker's husband looked like. However, the trafficker's husband had died 10 years ago. To strengthen her case, the trafficker confidently declared that if the girl could recognize her husband, she would plead guilty immediately. Just as she made this bold claim, the girl directly identified the trafficker's husband.